Hi guys. Okay. Hi guys. Welcome back to our channel. This is our podcast A Million Minds with Anita and Hirat.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you? How's your week?
Busy
Good.
as always.
Busy is always good.
Yeah. What about you?
Busy, stressed, but
Really?
good stress, yeah.
Okay. That's kind of good as well.
Yeah.
Not so much.
It's better than boring.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I always like to be busy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking today?
So last episode, we were talking about moving countries.
Yes.
And we had more to say. So we're going to kind of develop the matter. And we had a checklist that we had to go over about the things to have in mind when moving countries, and we'll go over that today.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
Perfect.
Okay,
So-
let's go. You tell me the first thing that you always think about when moving.
First of all, I think the most basic thing is where am I gonna stay? For me, I think it's that's the main thing. Wherever you are comfortable, then you can be better in everything else that you do. So I think that's the first thing that you do, and you have to see kind of like what's the price range, what areas, because you don't know anything about a place if you haven't visited before. For example, when I moved to Qatar, I had visited before. I spent there like 1 week, I think. So I kind of knew the areas, what I liked and I didn't like. I knew where I wanted to live. And then, so that's if, I've visited before. But if you don't visit before, I think you should get as much information as you can before moving, before making any decision. In fact, I would say it's better if if you stay somewhere like for a month or two, just, so you get to know better the city and then you can move in to somewhere long term.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's very important, the house matter, because the housing, because it's about the safety and the peace of mind you get. And as you mentioned, it's actually good. It's a harder thing to do, but I think it's actually good if people can. It's hard, as I say, but to book somewhere for 2 weeks and then another area for 2 weeks, and then this way, first of all, the huge advantage is they quickly get to know the city,
Exactly.
not just one area,
Yeah,
and preferably those three places be different to each other.
for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
for example, if you come to Dubai, you got 2 weeks stay in Marina, 2 weeks go to downtown, and then 2 weeks go
Jumeirah.
JBC, Jumeirah, somewhere.
So you see what you like
Yeah.
about each area
Yeah,
the best.
you learn about what kind of people live there, what kind of amenities there are, facilities around you.
Yeah.
And things like the traffic.
Yeah, the
you get to
transportation.
yes, you get to assess all of this.
You have to say also like if you're moving to somewhere like with a job or without a job. If you're moving with a job, then you have to see how is the transportation to your job
Yes,
from the
of
different
course.
areas.
Yes, you're
all
jumping.
of this.
Yes, you're.
Yeah, I'm jumping a little bit
all of them.
ahead. Yeah.
So I think for me, before housing, I think the most important is the visa situation and
Well,
the
yeah.
rules of can I enter the country or no.
Oh, yeah,
So that matters.
that's true.
Visa. How long can you stay there? What rights you have? If you're going on a working visa, what kind of rights you have? If you're going on student visa, what kind of rights you have? If you're going on investment visas, what kind of rights you have? All of these.
How long do you have as a tourist visa?
Yes. How long you have as tourist visa? How long your visa takes time? All of these.
The different types of residences, for how long can you get
Exactly.
them?
This is a good point to start. And then after this, I think that one of the most important things a lot of people miss is if you're most probably you need to translate your documents.
True.
That's unless you're going from US to Australia, Canada to UK.
English to English.
Yeah. But it's rare for that, or from an Arab country to another Arab country.
Yeah.
But even that, sometimes you need to certify your documents.
Yeah.
Because there's copies they need certified. Even if it's Arabic, and you go from one Arabic country to another,
it needs validation.
It needs validation. It needs the copies needs to be certified, not translated but certified still. So it's a whole process of its own. So this is important.
For
The
sure.
visa, and then housing, and then transportation.
For sure. Yes.
And transportation, you see how's the public transport in that city that you're intending to go. If there is a good system in place, some cities, it's different. It's really different. It doesn't even. It's not necessarily a sign of a good city or bad city necessarily. You can go to Zurich and
Depends
it's a good
on your
city.
needs.
You can go, yeah, you can go to Bern. It's a good city. It's Swiss standards, but I would say you shouldn't be relying. In Bern, you shouldn't be relying on the public transport.
Yeah, but for example,
need
if
a
you go
car.
to London, I would say rely on the public transport
Definitely,
because it's
yes,
amazing. Or Madrid,
yes, yes. So it really matters where you're going. You should see the public transport, how people get around. These days, sometimes the best way is electric scooter. Maybe for someone that's their best method. They're
Yeah.
a student.
Or so many
they-
people go by bicycle. In
Yes,
many European
yeah,
cities,
exactly,
going by bicycle to work is very
exactly,
common.
exactly. If you go to Amsterdam, I think Amsterdam has some facts. I think it has 3 times the population in number of bikes.
Wow. Okay.
Right? It's just there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a flex.
Yeah, people get intoxicated. They forget their bikes.
Yeah.
They don't
I've seen-
remember where they parked it.
Yeah. I've seen
So
like
tomorrow they have to buy a new bike.
yeah. I've seen all of the videos of the government like taking all of the bikes out of the canals.
Yes, that's also another
like,
thing. This
by the bulk.
No, this 3 times the number of the population. There is bikes in the streets. So the bikes that are in the canals is
Don't
on
count?
top of it. No,
Oh, wow.
it's on top of that, and that's another huge number itself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes,
Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, that was a fact.
Yeah, but if
I
you, for
remember.
example, come to Dubai, I would say please rely on a car. For
Yes,
sure.
I think it's very good because it's quite affordable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's easy to get around.
It has very good roads.
It has very good roads.
Easy to move.
Yes,
Easy to drive.
It's very convenient. You have the AC.
Yeah,
You can find car parks everywhere. It's not like
because
a
it's
city
a
like
it's
London.
a yes, because it's a country and especially a city made for cars to move
Yes,
around. You
yes.
know.
I think it's very same. For example, in Australia, I would say it depends though. If you go to maybe Sydney,
Yeah.
maybe you don't need. Still, I would say you need it. But anyway, maybe you don't need. You can rely on the transport. Depends what you do as well. If you're a student and you're living in student accommodation and it's very close to your university campus, then maybe not. You definitely don't need a car. But it really depends. But if you're trying to go in the outer suburbs to live and you work in the CBD in the center, well, with public transport, it can take you easily like 1.5, 2 hours sometimes, and it's very crowded. It's not
Yeah.
that cheap, so sometimes it's better. But then you also have to think of the parking for it.
Of course.
You have to, it comes down to it becomes
Pros
a
and
subjective,
cons.
it becomes a
depending on your
subjective matter.
situation. Yeah.
But it's something to definitely think about: the transportation, the housing,
The visa.
and then you touched on something. It's about the culture.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Exactly.
To understand.
Yeah, you need to be prepared for where are you going. For example, if you are somewhere, if you're European, let's say, and you're not going to somewhere also in Europe, other than your culture, I would say look at the language because
Yes, that's another point.
yeah.
Oh, I separated these two in my
You're
head.
separated. Okay.
Yes, because the language is the tool that allows you to
Communicate.
speak, network, socialize.
Yeah. Okay, they will level up the language, but I'm just saying if you're European and you're going to another European country, most likely what you're going to have to look at is the language because we are closer in culture
Yes.
than if you go outside Europe,
Yes.
right? But for example, if you move to a Middle Eastern country, it has a different culture than
Yes.
Europe. For any other culture, or for example, for Asia or South Asia, you have to have an open mind, I think. And for any other place that it's outside of your culture, you have to have an open mind. See what are the customs and traditions in
Yes.
every country, so you know what to respect, what to do, and what not to do.
Exactly.
because it's very important, and you're going to enjoy it more once you know get accustomed to the customs of the country. Once you are you know comfortable in that country, it's just you know smooth ride.
Yes.
So I think that's very important. Or for example, you can be from South America and you're moving to even US. It's a little bit different as well. You know, it's still in the same.
It's very different
It's
also.
very different.
Yeah. Another
Depends
thing.
on where in South America as well. But
Yes.
you know,
I would say it's different. So it's about the culture of that country, the rules of that country, like
Yeah.
the legal rules,
exactly.
which
Yeah, not
might or might not link to culture at all.
yeah,
You know, sometimes it's just a rule to not do a certain thing. You know, it might be illegal to, or a disrespect sometimes to tip in a country.
yeah.
And in another country, if you don't tip, you get penalized for it. Like, well, not penalized, but you know,
It's
they don't
seen.
take it very well.
Yeah,
So this is as easy as this, you know. It's very different. You go to
it's
some
something so
countries,
simple.
tipping. If you don't tip, it's a sign of being unappreciative.
Yeah,
In another country, you tip. It's a sign that you're looking at the person who's serving you from you know a top to bottom view. You're
Yes.
looking at them from
above.
above. So you gotta understand where those people come from, because you know, because it's only fair. You're going to their country, you're going to their culture, so it's only fair you oblige. You
Adhere
can't,
to your
yes,
to
you
the
can't
rules.
expect them to understand your background
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
you're going to them. You know,
Yeah.
if you come to my house, you know, and I take off my shoes at the door, you gotta respect my rules.
Exactly.
And if I come to your house, I have
Yeah,
to
we
respect
have a
your rules.
saying.
It's not that.
We have a saying in Spanish that it says like wherever you go, do what you see.
Yes.
You know, whatever you see,
Yeah.
it's that's what
Exactly.
you have to go for.
And also safety. You have to look at this as well.
Of course.
Sometimes the definition of safety is different to people. You know,
Yeah.
someone comes from a country that, you know, normal little thefts are very normal, and then you go to another country and it's much more safer. I mean, this is a good upgrade, so you don't have to get concerned. But sometimes you do the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a country that if you leave your phone or Birkin bag on a coffee shop table
You know
and
it
go
will
to
be
the
there.
bathroom and come back, it's gonna be there. You know, you go to another country, you do this, you come back, it's not there.
Yeah,
So
or even like you know you're just what we said it in the last episode that you just walking around London and you can get
Yes.
your phone stolen very easily.
yes,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah, and this is a tiny example.
yeah,
It can get much worse. You know,
of course.
I know people who said, "Oh, let's just," you know, they're going somewhere for work for a week. You know, they live in, for example, London. They're going to some other country, just for work, and you know, in the airport, this actually happened to me. So I was speaking to a colleague, and they said, "Yeah, we can go do this, do this." You know, he was like saying all these things. I was like, "You know, this is not gonna be like London, right? The worst case scenario isn't someone stealing your watch.
Yeah,
It's like people have guns there.
yeah,
You know, it was a
completely different scenario.
I'm not gonna say which country because I don't want to false advertise for them. But you know, I was like, this city is on the top deadliest cities on the planet.
Yeah,
It's the most dangerous. You know, the crimes are not gonna be stealing your watch. It's gonna be way more. You're gonna be you know at a gunpoint, holding
for
a
sure.
gunpoint for nothing,
Yeah.
for no reason,
Yeah,
even.
even it can vary in your same country.
Yes,
you know.
yes, of course. But in your country,
But-
you might know that. You might have heard stories. But this guy was not thinking. He thought, oh, we're gonna go clubbing and you know do this and do that and just like walk back. 3 a.m. You should not. Locals in that city, the toughest local guy doesn't walk back in the streets. You're gonna people. You know the people who are, I would say, dangerous there are gonna look at you and probably think you've gone insane
Yeah.
when they see you walking back. They might even go to this extent of thinking, who is this guy that has the courage to walk back at this time?
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna look actually like a
Like
superpower.
yeah, like a superhero.
Yes, but when you get confronted, it's gonna look very different. It just looks
You're not
cool for
gonna
the
be a
first 5 minutes.
superhero anymore.
Yeah, it just looks like it looks good in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 seconds actually. So you know, when he understood these things, he changed his mind. Or you know, things like diseases. you should be ready for what vaccines. In some countries, you don't need malaria vaccine
Yeah.
just surviving. Some places you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's a normal thing to do. Like the ratio is, I think, 25% of people have it.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's one every four.
Yeah.
You know, so um, so it's you know, or you know, other things. So you really need to look at the safety part. And talking about diseases, we go into the next one: healthcare system in
Yeah.
general, not just diseases, but just healthcare system. Maybe you have an accident.
Yeah.
What kind of, how does it work? Because a lot of countries have free governmental services for foreigners.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a tourist, if you're from there, they will look at you the same. Some countries it's not the case. You need to have private health insurance,
Yeah.
or you know, coverage for those, you know, like you get travel insurances.
In Spain, like doesn't matter who you are, you have
Yes.
public.
Yes, I've had that experience.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I've told you I got a cut on my hand in the
Yeah.
beach.
Mm-hmm. You
It
told
wasn't
me.
that bad. It was bad because it was bleeding a lot and it was very hot.
Okay.
So I went to the, you know, there is like in the beach there is this first aid stations. So I
Okay.
went there for some reason. I mean, they were trying to help, but
They were or they weren't?
they were trying to
Ah.
help, but they were a little looking at it as on an extreme point. So
Okay.
they were, you know, they were freaking out, and
Okay.
it wasn't that bad. So they called an ambulance, and they were
Right.
putting me like, you know, like feet up, head down, but at a quite steep angle. So it's like there's too much blood in my head now. Can we relax with the slope?
Yeah.
So that made me even worse. But anyway,
But they took you
so
to a
they
hospital,
took me to the
right?
hospital. You know, everyone was like the nurses. Everyone was like freaking out until the doctor came. You know,
Yeah.
they had a little bandage as well. They opened the bandage. The doctor looked at it. They was like, "Ah, there's nothing." You know, he was
Also, that's
pretty
very
Spanish as
Spanish.
well. Yes, he
Yeah.
was pretty Spanish. He was like, "It's nothing. Why you came to the emergency?"
Oh, they took me.
And I was trying to say they took me. I just said I need like a little chocolate.
Yeah.
That's all I need, you know, to like balance with the, you know,
Sugar.
yeah, I just get a sugar kick. It will be fine.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, give this guy some. They gave me some stuff, and they said you can go.
Okay.
And this was all. I went there in my swimwear.
Yeah.
No t-shirt, nothing. No towel, nothing. No slippers, no shoes, nothing.
Oh, wow.
Barefoot, straight from the beach to the. So
Okay.
and they told me you can go. So I started walking out of the room barefoot.
like Tarzan in the
Yes,
city.
pretty
Like
much. So I came to the reception and I was like, do I need to do it? Like, no, you can go. You know, so free
Yeah.
healthcare.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, so I
Yeah, but
just came
that's,
to the door. No
that's-
phone, no wallet. I can't get a taxi back.
right.
I just
So you should call the ambulance. Like, hi guys, can I get a
can I
ride
get
back
a
to where I
ride back?
was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's very good. Like, for example,
Yeah.
that in United States, you know, you have to pay like I think $3,000 or $4,000 for an ambulance.
Yes,
Just to-
in Australia too.
Yeah.
Even if you're Australian,
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Ambulance people, a lot of people get the second heart attack when their next of kin has called an ambulance. So he's you know, he had a half heart attack. He's like, please don't call ambulance.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
that's actually a thing because sometimes the bills are quite hefty. People can't afford it. You know, it's just
Yeah.
you know a simple, a simple, you know, journey.
Yeah.
You know, saving lives.
It's
it
like
costs them a lot.
in US, you can pay like $100,000 for having a child.
Yes.
Just for having a child.
Yeah, I know someone who had a miscarriage in Australia.
Okay.
Went to the hospital with her own foot, no ambulance.
Yeah.
She wasn't that bad. Walked to the hospital. I'm having a miscarriage. Before that, she even went to a private clinic. They told her go to emergency because it was a little like late and you know, weekend whatever. So she goes to the hospital, sits there for 2 hours. They don't do anything particular, just a normal questionnaire. what's your age, what's your name, filling this form. How long do you think you've been, random, just speculation, basically.
Yeah.
Nothing, just a nurse.
Okay.
Went through that, mid all of that, she said, actually, I'm feeling better. Like, you guys are doing nothing. She's been sitting in the waiting area for like 2 hours, kind of bleeding as well. She's like, I might as well go home and, they can to just rest. I think it will get better. So it would just, just hoping for it to
Be solved on
be
its
solved
own.
on its own, which it does on a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah. Anyway, we don't want to get into the details, but and she talked to someone who wasn't a doctor, was a trust me, who had miscarriage experience before. Trust me, go home. I'll come help you out a little as well. Just don't worry about it. Goes home. It's fine. I think she even went out or something like with some friends after it later that night.
Okay.
Just to like
Feel better.
yeah, just feel better emotionally. And everything was fine. A few weeks after, gets a letter from the hospital, 2.5K Australian dollars, 2,500 Australian dollars billed.
For sitting for 2 hours.
Didn't see a doctor. A doctor didn't attend her. She just got,
I just don't have
said
words.
her name, got the receipt, your like number, whatever.
Yeah.
Your, I don't know, priority 7. Because it's an emergency. People are coming with their hand torn off.
Yeah.
So
But
you're not that much of a priority. You're still alive. It's okay.
Yeah.
So 2.5K.
That's insane. I really don't have words.
It's like, for what?
That is unthinkable in Spain.
Yes.
Unthinkable.
Yeah.
To that, I have to say that we have a pretty good system.
Yeah. Same in England.
England's
NHS
with the
was,
NHS.
I don't know recently after Brexit how much worse it has gotten, because I've heard a lot of rumors. I haven't firsthand had a experience, but when I used to live there, it was really good. It was really good. I had issues few times, emergency or just normal clinic, getting appointments, seeing a doctor,
Very good quality as
very
well.
good quality, pretty much everything for free. They will give you the pills for free. I was like, do I need to pay for anything? No.
Yeah.
You can walk out. So you saw a nurse, you saw the doctor, specialist. Sometimes I had personally had the experience. He wrote what pills I need. They gave me the pills in the reception, in the same clinic.
No need to go to the pharmacy.
No. A lot of pills, like not just one acetaminophen. No, like proper
prescription pills.
Prescription. Antibiotics that are special.
Yeah.
And you just walk out. Spain is the same.
Yeah.
Mostly for its own citizens, I think. When it comes to like,
and especially when you get so we have the public healthcare and the private healthcare. When you get prescription from public healthcare, if you go to the pharmacy, it's like huge discount. You barely pay anything,
free.
For something cheap. That it's maybe 15 euros, you can get it residents. For like 50 cents.
Yes. Even for, I know this is a green card you need to have.
Yeah.
Even if you're resident, you're not Spanish, you're not permanent resident,
it's the same
nothing.
for everyone. The rule is same for everyone.
But not for tourists.
No. It's for everyone who is a resident. It's the same. But if you get prescribed from private healthcare, you have to pay full price. For example,
Australia is a little, and Australia, another thing, I don't know it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not a specialist in biology area. I'm nowhere close to be a doctor or anything, but so I don't know if it's good or bad. But Australia is known, some other Western countries too, is known for not even giving you prescriptions.
What?
Like they want your body to recover on its own. That's their philosophy.
Like me. I do that a lot.
Right? So like you're dying and their advice is drink a lot of water, rest.
Okay.
Like they don't give you antibiotics because it has side effects. So it might be good. I don't know. As I'm saying, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing.
Okay.
A lot of people don't go. They're like, well, if I go to the doctor, she will say drink a lot of water. So
and get some Panadol and that's it.
Yeah, with tea and lemon and honey. It's like my grandma says that too. Literally. So let's just stay home. Let's save a trip. and you just get.
So you can, for example, be charged like 4K for just be told to drink a lot of
No, no,
water?
no, no. That was emergency.
Ah,
And I
okay.
actually don't know how that happened. Usually that shouldn't happen, but I don't know what happened there. And note, this person wasn't under any kind of Australian Medicare,
Right.
right? Because Australian Medicare is applicable to people who have citizenship or citizens of Australia and permanent residency. Now, if you're on different visas, usually a lot of times you should go get your own insurances, like healthcare's, private. Unless, I think, for example, if you're on partnership visas and you've married to an Australian, you get it as well. There is some rules there. I'm not exactly sure how it works exactly. Since when you get it, but I don't know since when. Like, I think it's after 1 or 2 years, or maybe when you apply. I don't know, because there's even different subcategories of partnership and family visas. But those people get it as well. But everyone else should get a private. So with private, it also has many different variations. Each company has different tiers of. It's not like one category. Different prices for different things covered. But Medicare of Australia doesn't cover like cosmetics. For example, if you want to do teeth whitening,
Yeah.
but you get some
But you can
levies.
upgrade it, right? Or no?
You get some levy. You get some, like some discounts.
Okay.
You get like, for example, if you want to get glasses,
Yeah.
um,
Prescription glasses.
yes, prescription glasses, you get some per year. You get some,
Annual discount.
yeah, like it's more like a credit.
Right.
Like you have $200, for example. But so if your sorry, not sunglasses, your prescription glasses are 200, then it's for free. But if it's 250, you gotta pay the 50 extra.
Right.
If you're getting something that it's, I don't know, some special frame and stuff, and it costs 800, they just cover 200. You pay 600 out of your own pocket.
Right.
But this is with private.
Mm.
This is, from my knowledge, it's not with Medicare.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but my personal, because the thing is, my personal experience, they got it with my family. I mean, I don't wear glasses, so I don't really know, but I think because I know my parents got glasses, so I think they use their private to get this levy towards it, and then pay the extra part, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
You
course.
can even get sunglasses, but prescription sunglasses,
Yeah.
not just Prada sunglasses.
Yeah.
You can do that. It's
Because it's
yeah,
it's not for health.
yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, healthcare is a big thing. You should really look into it, because you never know when that emergency happens, and when the emergency happens, you can't.
Start looking at options.
Yes, it's a very late thing.
Exactly.
So you gotta. What else? So transportation, housing, healthcare,
Visa.
visas, and cultural things, safety rules.
Yeah.
For example, in a country, it can be mandatory to wear a headscarf.
Yes.
You should know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of countries, explain you the rules at border control and stuff as well. If they see you're an absolute foreigner to
Foreigner.
their,
That is the
rules.
first time. Mhm.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Mhm.
It won't be that they,
Mhm.
immediately fine you. But for example, in Singapore, I know there is a whole list of things that each thing you get $1,000 Singaporean dollars fine for it. Some of the things has jail.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but it starts with things like spitting. Just, I mean, it's a disgusting thing to do, anyways.
Yeah.
People shouldn't do that, but
Yeah.
but there is but not many countries have a proper fine for this. I mean, it's just
Vast majority of countries, they don't have it.
Yeah, it's socially not accepted. But here, throwing your cigarette butt or
Yeah.
rubbish, there's so many things like this. Walking
Yeah.
your dog without a leash or something, like in certain parts. There is so many, and the list goes on. There's so many rules one by one.
Okay.
So you need to know them. Some of them might actually seem funny to some people.
Yeah. They don't believe.
Yeah, they think, if they hear it from a taxi driver, they think he's messing with them.
Joking.
Yeah, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
I actually had a 5-star Uber rating,
As in.
right? in my lifetime. But this was many years ago, so Uber was new as
Like
well.
you rated them five
No,
star,
no, no.
or they
Myself,
rated?
you know, they rate you as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So my rating was 5 star after maybe something like, I would say 100 rides.
Okay.
So that was a 5 out of 5 all the time because I don't do anything.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't say anything. If I talk, it's an engaging and fun conversation. You know, exchange of knowledge between me and the driver or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm respectful. I don't do anything. I've never had, you know, any, especially like pets or, you know, gone in an Uber, you know,
Drunk.
drunk or anything. So 5 star. I went to Singapore, and I went with my family,
Yeah.
right? And we were always, most of the time, 90% of the time, we were all like together. And I was doing the Uber rides, you know, because I was, you know, we were together. I would call the Ubers. After maybe 10 rides, maybe more, 20 rides, something like that. I don't know how low they've rated me, but my rating came to something like 4.4. You know
Wow.
how the average, I had 100 on 5 stars.
Yeah.
20 rides, they all rated 1 star to me. That it pulled my score from 5 to 4.4 or something.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't, there was a cultural issue, I think. It's like, why is my ride going down? You know, and when I was talking to the, after, like, I noticed this at the end of the, you know, holiday, yeah, towards the end, I was asking the drivers at the end, I was like, was everything okay? Just out of curiosity. And I was like, I'll rate you 5 star if you can do the same. And he was like, yeah, yeah. And they're a little, I would say, different sarcasm and way of speaking to maybe me. You
Okay.
know, maybe it wasn't, you know, a match. They wouldn't laugh at my jokes.
Yeah.
And they would say, yeah, yeah. And look in front, right? A little robotic. Not mad, not angry, not sad, not upset, but not happy either. Pretty poker faced. And I would go out and, you know, see, you know, sometimes see a, sometimes not really, but sometimes I would see the drop just after that, you know, because there was like points, so it was rounded up and down. Sometimes I would see that, you know, go from 4.5 to 4.4. I double checked with the guy. What happened? I closed his door
Yeah, they lied
perfect.
to you.
Why is he ranking me down?
Yeah.
What did I do?
I don't
What
know.
did
Maybe
my
they
dad
have very
do?
high
What did my,
standards, or I don't
maybe
know.
maybe we talked to them, and because we wanted to get to know information, and me and my dad are quite talkative.
Okay.
Like, not in a bad way, just like, okay, what is this, what is that, you know, just out of curiosity. We came here, we want to learn about it. We don't want to just take photos and go back home. So maybe they didn't like us talking. That's the only thing that I think they found it disrespectful, us asking so many questions,
Yeah.
you know, random questions. They're like, what is this, you know, what am I, your Google?
Yeah.
You know, maybe they were offended, I don't know, but they were answering it back
Okay.
nicely. They weren't, you know, getting upset or not giving one word answers. They weren't really like that. They would go in details and explain, but maybe it was rude. I don't know. I never understood because I even tried to understand, and everyone was saying, "No, it's fine." I think I even said it once. I was like, "I'm getting rated down so much. Please tell me what I'm doing wrong." And he said, "I don't know," you know, kind of
Yeah.
answer. And I was like, "Okay." Probably he rated me 1 star as well. I don't know what was going on, but anyway.
Okay.
So, you know, you need to understand these things. You need to understand, which sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. So many people have gotten that, you know, that I know that have gotten that shock, you know, to go out of their hometowns and even to somewhere that it's kind of close to their country, you know, they get that shock of cultural shock, you know, that they don't understand. It's hard for them. It's really
yes,
hard for them. Even, for example, London, like you're going to a British country, a British city, but in London there is people from everywhere. You know, there is so many more people from outside
yes,
than from London.
yes,
So
especially these days.
yeah, so you're going to meet a lot of cultures, and it's going to take you some time to adapt, but you just have to, you know, kind of try to be as
Yes.
respectful as possible with everyone, and it will be fine.
Another note, connection. I don't know how else I can describe it. Things like SIM cards, Wi-Fi, internet
Okay,
connection,
that
data.
connection.
Yes, you
I thought you were saying connections between people, like
no, no.
networking.
No, that's also something we get to that.
Okay.
But it's a little less important. But of course, it's important, but not vital.
Okay.
But SIM card these days, it's very important.
It's very important.
You want to go from the airport to the hotel you booked?
No one lives without their smartphone.
Yes. How are you gonna go?
Yeah. To be
A lot of
honest,
people these days can't even give you addresses anymore.
yeah,
If you ask, how do I go?
Yeah.
He can't tell you. There was a time that said, go straight till here,
Yeah.
200 meters right. Now the guy can't do it himself. He
Exactly.
uses,
Google
Google
Maps.
Maps. So if you ask him, he's like,
yeah,
he Google Maps it for you. He's like, here.
exactly.
And I can't give you my phone, can I?
Yeah.
So you need Wi-Fi. You need, usually it's very easy these days in every country to get a SIM card in the airport. I suggest
it's
definitely
pretty
to
much
get it.
everywhere.
Sometimes it can be expensive. They rip you off,
Yeah.
depending on the country. But I think it's worth it.
For sure. Yeah.
Rather than getting lost.
Yeah. When I I went to Jakarta
Yeah.
once, and the first thing I think about every single time is SIM card. Data. I need to have connection. And to be honest, I have no idea how our parents' generation and like anyone before did it. Like they just
With books.
traveled, with books,
Coordinates.
with maps, but like they had to go to the agency to book a ticket, a flight ticket to somewhere,
Yeah.
when it's just like, or to, how are you booking a
Yes.
hotel in India, from Spain, let's say,
Yeah,
how
very
are you doing it? Like, are you calling the hotel from here? And it's not like you had a smartphone with you all the time. You had to go somewhere to call, or do you go with an agency? It was such a harder process.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm glad I'm living in this generation,
Yeah.
because I'm such a smartphone and technology person. Like, I can't live without it. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you the easiest way, if you don't need calls and you mostly need data.
Yeah.
You only need data. The easiest way, there is, I would say, tens of apps these days. Well, companies that have apps, very easy to use apps. eSIMs. You go on it. You select the country you want to go, or you're in, and you select the
amount
you want.
of-
Yeah, you want this package with 5 gigabytes for 12 for 2 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And it says the price. You just do it. It loads the SIM card, eSIM onto your phone. Well, this is iPhone. I think it works the same with Android phones.
Okay.
I think, I'm not sure. I've never had an Android,
Yeah. Me neither.
so I wouldn't know. But anyway, I think they've done something for it for sure. It can't be that there is nothing. The
Yeah.
concept doesn't exist. We're just not in that league.
Okay.
We don't play that game. It's like, I don't know American football rules.
Exactly.
I don't watch it. So, it goes on your phone. You don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to scan anything. You don't have to go to talk to anyone. You can have few of these apps, compare the prices between them, on the apps. Super easy. Extremely easy. Very, very well made apps.
So you just
I
choose
buy
a
a
package
little-
for data for wherever you want to go in the world?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Almost all the countries, they can do it for you.
Technology.
Yeah. except few countries.
Okay.
Maybe you can't do it in there.
Uh-huh.
But most countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's another important thing.
For sure.
Yeah. I would say when you move from there, going back to languages.
Yeah.
So this is where the language comes in. You need to talk to people to book a hotel. But sometimes you don't need it anymore these days. As you said, we go online, you book it on booking.com.
Yeah.
You put it in your own language. You can even change the currency to what makes sense to you.
Exactly.
If you want, if you need to. If you don't need to, then that's fine. Moving past this, back to the visa, you need to find out, the little things about employment, your working rights, and then the market. If you're trying to work, or even if you're a student, you want to get a part-time job, to support yourself on the side. If different things. If you want to do investments, how it works, how you can gain access to banking, open up a bank account, how to register your company, how to register self-employed. These things are very important for many people. For example, I know in Spain, you can't open up a bank unless you have a visa.
Yeah.
some sort of visa.
Yeah.
You can't be a tourist opening a bank.
No, you can't.
Unless the variation to this is if you're a citizen or resident of certain countries, some banks offer you to open up a bank in a different currency. For example, in UK, I know you can open banks in euros,
Okay.
right? If
Okay.
you're living in UK and you have a pounds account, in the same account, within the same banking, you can open up an account in euros. You get all the Swift code, everything
Okay.
with it. So it's a bank, usually online bank,
Yeah.
and there is online banks, of course.
I
You
was
can do on
going to say
Revolut,
there's the online banks.
yeah,
Very
Wise,
helpful.
these
Yeah.
things you can go on those, open up a bank. These are very good actually if you
Yeah.
want to travel. It allows you to open up banks in a lot of currencies these days, maybe
Yeah.
40, 45 plus currencies these days.
Yeah.
You can open up in dirham, in Australian dollars,
Yeah.
most well, not most currencies, I would say some currencies.
Yeah.
It really depends on the
The
banking.
most used.
It comes down to a lot of economical and political things going on.
I guess.
That
Yeah.
which countries can open up which countries, and
Yeah.
which countries are more suspicious
Yeah.
of you and don't let you open up online banks. And it has its own processes.
Yeah.
But it's a thing to look at. It's definitely worth looking at it. So eSIMs and online banks.
Yeah. Can I say something about languages,
Sure.
actually? Because I think people tend to overlook the languages when they're moving to somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I have met many people that they want to move to Spain. They love the country. They love the culture. They've visited. They want to live there for good or for many years. And they all think they can just move, and they're obviously like not Spanish or not Spanish speakers. I always tell them, like, you're not going to be able to get any job to do absolutely anything in Spain if you don't speak Spanish. You have to know the
Yes,
language because,
that's
for
true.
example, Spain is a country that no one speaks English.
Only one place.
Well, Madrid.
No.
Marbella. Okay.
Only
yeah.
Marbella, I
In
would say you can survive.
Yeah, in Marbella you can survive
And
as an English speaker.
not very good. Just survive.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've seen, British people that are living in Marbella and they don't know a word of Spanish and they're fine,
Yes, exactly. Because a lot of people like even do go through the lens of translating things. For example, I know rentals can be translated to English.
Yeah.
But in other places in Spain, they don't. They put the contract in front of you. It's full Spanish.
It's full Spanish.
You want to sign something
every
you don't
lawyer,
know or no?
every doctor, every teacher, every single person, barely speaks English, and even if they speak English, it's 1% of your environment,
Yes.
like how are you going to move to Spain with, for example, your kids, and they're going to have to fully learn Spanish in school because
Yeah.
how else
I would
are
say
you going to...
if you go by the map, I would say Spain doesn't speak English, Italy doesn't, Portugal doesn't,
France.
Greece is a meh.
Like, they have
France, they understand, but they don't want to talk to you. I'm convinced.
No, but they do speak. They don't really speak as much English.
More in small cities, yes. In bigger cities, they understand. They just prefer not to. They're very nationalist. They want to speak their own language.
Yeah.
If you go to Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Belgium, they can.
Yeah, they're
fully.
Full speak
Sometimes
English.
they, again, don't like to speak to you. So if it comes to something like you're asking for address or you're, in a international place, like you went to do visa processing and stuff, they talk to you.
Yeah.
Because they're very logical about these things and they say, okay, the person came here, doesn't know English, so it's our job to do it. But if you're in a bar and you just want to make friends, I would say they're skeptical. They don't want to speak English, even though they know English very well. Germany, Austria, Poland, they know very good. Denmark, Scandinavian countries, they know it and they will speak with you.
Yeah.
They're fine. Except that they are a little shy and introvert in general, so they don't even talk within themselves. But that's if you get past that point, if they had a couple of beers and they can speak and connect, then they're fine. They don't mind talking their own language or English.
Yeah.
They're not as strict.
Yeah. But I have a friend, she's Spanish, and she has, done like, small trips around Europe, like Central Europe, right?
Yes.
Like kind of Netherlands, Belgium, um, Denmark, like that area, right? And she said like she has made many friends just speaking English over bars and this
Yeah.
stuff. So they
Sometimes it's
are
different if you're
open,
also a
yeah. But
girl
they,
or a guy.
yeah, that as well. Yeah,
It depends also if you're good looking or not.
for sure.
To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
you know,
Sadly,
it's
pretty
true.
privilege is a
Yes,
thing
if you're pretty,
for a
if
girl, for a
you're
guy.
wealthy, if you're successful, if you're charming, if you have that charisma,
Of course,
changes things.
all of
But
it.
I'm just comparing the same person, you know, for me.
Yeah,
Well, whether I'm good looking or not, it's the same, right? I might be a 2 out of 10, I might be a 10 out of 10, doesn't matter. I'm the same. So when I go to um, Italy, they want to talk to me.
yeah,
It's just they can't.
yeah.
There is limitations on their
Yeah,
side and my side. We
yeah,
don't have
like
a
an
common
invisible
language. But
barrier.
they really want to communicate.
Yeah.
They start talking with their hands as much as
Like
they
in
can.
Spain, yeah.
Yes,
If
in
you
Spain
ask
too.
anyone
Yes,
in Spain for any help, they
yes.
will do whatever they
I
can in
have.
their hand
Yes,
just to
I've
help
had a
you.
lot of pantomime lessons, trying
Okay.
to
Ah,
get
yeah.
things, in Italy, in Spain,
Mm-hmm.
because they want to talk back to me. I want
Yeah.
to talk to them. I don't
Yeah.
understand Spanish. They don't understand English. So we need to use our hands,
Yeah.
like people did, I don't know, 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But when I go to France,
Mm-hmm.
they understand me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they look away
Okay.
if they don't feel like it.
Okay.
If I go to Germany, I've lived in Vienna.
Yeah.
In as I said, in a governmental body or something, they will talk.
Mm-hmm.
They won't look away. They will not be anything like, off-putting. Nothing. They will talk to you with a lot of respect. But same if you are in the casino, they don't want to. They came there, I understand them as well, like let's put ourselves in their shoe. The guy came, there's some 70-year-old guy. He came for, to have a beer, to chill with some people, of his nation, to have fun, to, play a little. He doesn't want to talk English.
Yeah.
He just can't be bothered.
Mm.
He doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to talk his own language. You can't be upset with him,
Yeah.
If you come here, everyone, when I say here, Dubai, you talk to, Arabs speak very good English.
Yeah.
I would say most of Arabs, doesn't matter the age. The new generation speaks very good.
Yeah.
But even the older generation, I would say people who are 50s, 60s, they speak very good English. But, sometimes, you see them in cafes, they prefer to talk Arabic because it's their
It's just
language.
easier. Yeah.
It's
mother
easier.
tongue.
It's their mother tongue. Sometimes they cannot translate the things they want to say. They want to say a joke. They want to say something.
Yeah.
That it's a saying, and it doesn't make sense, and they have to explain it. They just don't want to.
Yeah.
They can't. They just prefer not to.
Yeah.
You can't be upset.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. So many people from outside might see this as close-minded,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's
No.
if you are talking to your family, you are, for example,
Sometimes it's
anywhere that doesn't speak your language, you prefer to speak your language as well.
Look, it's the same with me. It's the same with you. No.
Yeah.
It's always the same. It will
Yeah.
always be the same. I cannot be mad at people for doing it. And yeah, if they start making fun of you or something, I say, okay, that's not acceptable. But it's not the case. A lot of times it's really not the case. It's, a lot of people I've seen, the biggest nation that I've seen gets upset by another people talking their language are only speaking English people.
Yeah.
People from, and less from Australia and Canada because they have more of international mix in them.
Yeah.
A lot of them. So, and they're more chill, I would say. Australians are very chilled out.
Yeah.
People. They don't get, and they have very good hearts. They have, so if you're talking in another language and laughing, the first thing they think isn't that, oh, he made fun of me. They don't think that.
Yeah.
Right? They probably said something funny about the beach and the other person laughed. That's what, they look at it with good heart.
So okay, so I think we've gone over the whole checklist.
Yeah.
Right?
No, the biggest thing,
Just
financial stability before you move.
well, yeah, true.
Please don't move.
How can I
with,
forget about that?
$5 in your account, saying,
You
God
only live
will help
once.
me.
Yeah.
God will help you, but
God will provide.
yes, God will not. Usually, religions and stuff, I've heard growing up with, because I've grown up different countries, so I've heard different religious things. God will help you if you help yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
In Spanish, we say that one who wakes up early to have like a productive day,
gets the
God
bird.
will help him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Persian, you say the early gets the bird.
Yeah. I think in
Gets the worm.
English,
Sorry, the
in
English bird
English,
gets the worm.
it's like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Or there's another way to
Or-
say it. I think they say one step from you, 100 steps from God,
Yeah.
but one step from you.
Yeah.
Just standard. So, you know, financial stability, looking at your saving, looking thoroughly to the cost of living of the country you're moving to.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on people's words and someone went there for a couple of days. You don't know what kind of standard they live. You might have a different standard. Your standard might be even lower, and you're out stressing yourself. They
Yeah.
say you need 20K to go there for the first month, and you really need 10 with your lifestyle of living. Maybe they went to, you know, Palm Jumeirah,
Yeah.
and you want to go to a 4-star hotel. You know, so you gotta do your own research.
Yeah. That's the most important thing for all of
Go on.
these.
Yeah, just go on.
Do a lot of research.
Go on. I don't know, flight comparison websites like, you know, cheapflights.com, Skyscanner, Google, whatever. You know, get an average, write it down. Next, look at hotel, the accommodation, whatever. Next, go. These days, just go Google cost of living. How many dollars I
ChatGPT.
need per day in. Go by city.
Yeah.
The range it will give you is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Go with ChatGPT. Very
Yeah,
easy.
so do that, and then transport. Just put a little more for extras like SIM card. You might need something from the pharmacy. You might need
Yeah. Have
some
something.
extra things. You
So
might
have
protect
something
your
also like
perfume.
saved just
Yeah.
in case of emergency.
Yeah, you do this, and then just add like 20% margin to it. That's the number you need. You know, and depending on what you're going with, if you're going with a job offer in your hand that you have X salary, well, you can count on that. But if you don't, well, you know, it's all according to your situation. But it's very easy to do this. Just write it down. Don't add it up in your head. Don't. It doesn't work.
Yeah. You need to have it.
Just write it down. 5 lines.
Yeah. Written down and.
You know, and always round up.
Yeah.
Don't trick yourself. If you see the flight
You think,
220, you
oh,
put,
I won't need this. You will.
yeah, no, even some people round it down. This flight says 2,200, they put 2,000. Why?
Yeah.
Why? You know, that 200?
200.
Yeah, round up if you want.
Exactly.
Because
it
in the
all adds
airport,
up.
you might get extra luggage and you spend 300 more. Now you need 2.5K.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
round up. Don't round down. If you're left with extra money at the end, nothing happens to you. But if you're without money, you go homeless, something happens to you.
It's true.
It's very basic, but you know, always be pessimist with your numbers.
Yeah.
It's the worst case scenario.
And then you
Don't be optimistic.
you will thrive. Yeah.
Yes. If you think if your friends went there and took them 1 month to find a job, think for yourself it takes 2 months.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh no, I will do it in 2 weeks. Yeah, everyone thinks we will do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you have to in these things you have to be a little bit pessimist just so you can prepare.
And the last thing I would say, just to quickly go over it, social networking.
Okay.
Supporting yourself emotionally. People move, they think, you know,
They
without
can be
family,
alone.
without friends, especially if it's the first time you're moving. You know, you're moving out of somewhere that you grew up, you have tons of people, you meet people in the street, you know the local newspaper guy, you know everyone. You go somewhere new, first weekend, okay, it's cool, you go alone, you're like strong, independent. Second week comes, third week hits, fourth week you're getting depressed. So it's really important how you can network. You know, there's a lot of online tools these days. You know,
Yeah.
travel buddy apps. I don't
Yeah.
know. People move to a country. It's like
There's like
newcomers.
Facebook groups.
Yeah,
and-
Facebook groups.
yeah.
You know, if you want to date as well, dating apps. So there's a lot of things. You know, making friends, different places, and also in person. You know, but also this blends in with the rule of the country. Maybe in US it's absolutely okay to go to a bar and start talking to a lady you don't know and buy her a drink. You do that and she calls the police because she was married and you came
Cross
off
the line.
Yeah, it was a full red line you just crossed. In US that happens, she says I'm married, laughs it off.
Yeah.
He or she might not laugh it off.
Yeah.
For example, you might offend her, depending on your wording as well. It's not that they're very strict necessarily, and they're very.
Depends on the approach.
It depends, and it's person to person different.
Of course.
So that matters. And things to do, you gotta know what things there are to do. I've seen people who like move to a country and they like to go, I don't know, to bars, or they want to get alcohol and drink. You get that culture heat. You go to, for example, Qatar, and you want to go to a local liquor shop.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't any.
Or to the supermarket.
You can't, because you're not living there. You're on a tourist visa. You cannot buy alcohol.
Yeah.
So you should have Googled that before. Or I've seen people who go to countries, even like, for example, France,
Yeah.
and they're looking for a casino,
Yeah.
and
True.
it doesn't exist.
True.
And you're just like, oh, I was counting on that.
Yeah.
So, you gotta, once again, super easy thing to do. Literally say things to do in Paris
Yeah.
in Google.
Yeah.
This was even
And search
Google
about
things.
your hobbies.
Now
Like
ChatGPT.
search about your
Yeah.
hobbies. Like for example, if you like casinos, like is it a thing there?
Some places.
Or if you like concerts, do people go there?
Yeah. Like for example, you love playing paddle.
Yeah.
Okay, come to Australia, search for a paddle court. I'm pretty sure you won't find a single one. It's not a thing. You will find tennis court, squash court, badminton court, but it's a little different. It's still racket sports, close, but not it. So, there is no paddle court. So think about these things,
Exactly.
I would say, but we left it for last, but I think finding friends, getting along with people, understanding the way to approach people is a very important thing, because it's a very big mental game, when maybe you're looking for a job, maybe you're a student and the studies are hard. These things are really essential. Don't think, finding friends is not an essential thing. I have to look at jobs, look at money, look at healthcare. The other one is important. It's your soul, your emotions. It's important. You might have the best job, have the best house, have all of this figured out, but be lonely, and it will ruin the other things. You'll stop being less careful at your job or your studies, and things will like a domino effect. Those will fall.
True.
Yeah, especially about who you are. Maybe you're more an introvert person. You enjoy your own company. Your biggest hobby is reading books in your bed. Okay, well, take this less effective. But if you're an extrovert and you can't live without the attention, it's nothing wrong to know yourself. You just love to talk to people. You like the attention. You like to know new people. Watch out, because I've seen people that they literally lose all their motivation when they had everything, just because of that. They have to go back. They leave everything behind. When they started something great, they go back, just because of this, because, they got homesick and they want to see their friends.
I agree. I think it was pretty good information. Yes. And I hope we could help anyone who is thinking about moving country.
I think this is very good, because we definitely have missed points or like particular questions. If people comment stuff.
Yeah, that's
questions.
Yeah.
Whatever.
If you have anything that you think we might have missed, or any other question, of course, leave it in the comments, and we'll be here to answer it.
Yes.
Okay, and that's it for today, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you.